Right, Thursday, the 28th of August, and to be honest, everyone, I'm not really sure how to tackle this video. So this time last week, after the first leg and the kind of 2 days after the game video that I do with your comments and all of that stuff, I basically moaned for the whole video about the board and a bit about Brendan Rodgers and just general life. Not personally, but just, you know. I don't really know if I fancy doing that today. Look, I know things are pretty grim with Celtic right now, and there's like a lot of frustration out there, and like I feel that as well. I just find it all really draining. I know it's like very difficult to avoid it, and I'm going to be moaning at stages of today's video, but equally you are watching this channel, I think, to have some sort of enjoyment and positivity, even when it's kind of difficult, or certainly a bit of insight, maybe a bit of research I can do into various things. So yeah, today, not quite sure what to do. Could spend the next 20 minutes laughing at Rangers. We're not going to do that because, quite frankly, we have our own issues to deal with at the moment. But yeah, I do just want to look forward a bit on today's video. So clearly we're going to be playing in the UEFA Europa League this season. That in itself is a bit of a sore thing to say, but it's the situation. So I'm going to take a bit of a look at the Europa League briefly. How has it changed since we last played in it? I think in season 2021-2022. The draw for the Europa League is tomorrow, so we might leave some of that for tomorrow. I do actually want to discuss Rangers, but not just to laugh at them, because it's, you know, what's going on there with Russell Martin and their bad defeat last night, and we are playing them in 3 days, so it's quite important. So we'll do a bit of that, bit of transfer stuff as well, and as I say, a little bit of moaning, just a little bit. A big thank you once again to Practical CBT for their support of the channel. They provide simple support for men's mental health, so get involved there. Links in the description. So, the team are back in Scotland. We had video footage from Sky Sports yesterday of them arriving back at Celtic Park. Like, I know it's a small world these days with flights and all that, but like back at Celtic Park incredibly quickly, like quicker than I was expecting. I think lunchtime yesterday, you saw them all there, which felt a little bit strange. But as I say, I guess they would have flown back, probably through the night, right after the game on Tuesday evening. Bet that wasn't a fun plane ride home. But I can't say I've got too much sympathy, to be honest, given how they played. But yeah, don't really want to hear any excuses about Sunday and all this travelling we've had to do. The game was Tuesday evening. We've got all the way until Sunday afternoon before we face Rangers. The players will be back training today, I would guess. They're going to have 3 full training sessions to get up to speed ahead of the derby on Sunday. And we're really wanting to see a reaction. I know like morale is very low at the moment, and beating Rangers on Sunday won't solve everything and make everything amazing. We're still going to feel a lot of frustration about how this summer is gone and the Champions League stuff. But beating Rangers would put a smile on all of our faces and would be a great pick-me-up, I think. Callum McGregor's spoken a bit about a reset, and I think that's something he brought up in the dressing room in Almaty after the game. Yeah, not quite sure what that means. Well, I guess I know what it means, that he's kind of wanting to reset after the game and kind of kick on now, not let it spiral, I guess. So we'll see on Sunday how it goes. Rangers are in a really bad place. I'm guessing you caught the result last night, which was a 6-0 defeat away to Club Brugge. That tie finished 9-1 on aggregate. I didn't catch the game, but they were 6 down after 50 minutes and down to 10 men as well. And from what I hear, Club Brugge kind of eased off a bit as that game went on, so that stopped that from being an even a greater margin of victory for them. There's obviously been a lot of chat about Russell Martin potentially getting the old Ruud Hullet. What happens there? I've seen a few journalists saying that they expect him to be sacked and they'd be very surprised if he's in the dugout for Sunday's game. And I get that from a Rangers point of view, the result yesterday was catastrophic. I don't know if I get the impression they will sack him before Sunday. Again, I've been wrong with these kind of things quite often. I thought Ange Postecoglou would get another season at Spurs, and that obviously didn't happen. But I just sense, it's like incredibly early for Russell Martin at Rangers. I think 84 days since he was appointed. Just 36 days ago, they played their first competitive match. So it's like incredibly quick. I can't ever remember a Celtic or Rangers manager, coming under so much pressure so early on. And I realise I'm talking about Rangers here, but I think it is important to us given we're playing them on Sunday. So they're in a dire place. I think Russell Martin will be their manager on Sunday. Could be wrong, but that's just how I feel. I don't know what that means for the derby because they're not in a good place. Their players do appear to have chucked it based on that first half yesterday against Bruges. I'm well aware Bruges are a better team than we are, quite substantially at the moment, I would say. But they cannot defend. Rangers, they, as I say, have players who don't appear to be trying. Their system isn't working at all. They have a lot of bad players as well. And on top of all of that, their fans are really, really unhappy with Russell Martin and the players. I mean, I think they hate Russell Martin more than like any Celtic figure at the moment, which is saying something for them. So yeah, I feel like we've kind of been here before and been going to Ibrox and feeling good about ourselves and thinking, if we start well and get an early goal, they could turn and really get in the back of their own team and it could, turn out to be an amazing day for us. That could obviously happen. I just think it's hard to have too much faith in Celtic right now to really go out there and show Rangers the little respect that they kind of deserve at the moment, given how they're playing. And I don't mean that in like a derogatory way. I just mean like, they're not a good team. They're a team really struggling for everything, confidence, quality, tactical awareness. If we're a half-decent team, we should be going out there on Sunday and giving them no respect, going for the jugular from kick-off, trying to turn Ibrox into like a nasty, vitriolic... Sorry, it always is that. But you know what I mean. I just don't know if I have faith in Celtic to go and do that. So... bit of a head scratcher Sunday. Like I do feel, and the only way I can put this is there's levels to this shiteness game. So they've got like the utter shiteness, which we've covered. Celtic, I would say, are partially shite at the moment, in that we're kind of struggling to create chances, and none of us are really enjoying watching the team at the moment. But we are still winning games domestically. We have better players than them still. We do still have a better manager, even though there's big questions about Brendan Rodgers. We really should be going there. If we are a half a decent team, we should be going there and winning comfortably on Sunday. I have my doubts, if I'm honest, but we'll tackle this game some more tomorrow and Saturday. Right, let's talk transfers, because that's a much funner topic. Always can rely on transfers to lighten the mood at Celtic. We do have a report saying that Michel-Ange Balikwisha has now passed his medical in London. Are we just going to get like gradual updates on Balikwisha? How about we just find out he's signed, and hopefully that's going to be today or tomorrow. And I said this yesterday, but for me, he goes right into the starting lineup for the game on Sunday. And I know you might be thinking, that's drastic, Hamish. Why would we throw a new signing in from the start? Drastic times, and we're badly lacking like any sort of spark at the moment. And I don't know if Balikwisha would offer that. I've actually not seen him play, surprisingly. And it's a big ask, but I think if it's between Balikwisha or Yang starting, or even Dyson on the left at the moment, which is a sad thing to say, I think I'm going for someone who's not got the baggage of Celtic at the moment. You look at how like Colby Donovan and Dane Murray are both playing at the moment. That kind of fearless energy. They don't seem to be playing with the baggage and the pressure of the rest of the squad or the team. I think Balikwisha could offer some of that. And it's not totally unheard of for a new signing to go in straight at the deep end, starting at Ibrox. Alistair Johnson did it, I think, a few days after signing. Did incredibly well. Zheng Ji is in my mind as well as a player who went in for his debut at Ibrox. And I think from memory, in a poor performance from the team, he was pretty good that day. So no doubt in my mind, Balikwisha should start for us, assuming like things like clearance are done in time. I don't think he will, though. I think Brendan Rodgers will put him on the bench, which would just be incredibly frustrating. A new name yesterday emerged, and it's Hammarby winger Sebastian Tounekti. So, 23-year-old Norway youth international, actually plays a senior international football for Tunisia. His father is Tunisian, so that's how he qualifies for them. Only actually joined Hammarby earlier this year, so he's not been there for particularly long. But I think he's done quite well and has been quite impressive for them. So maybe the club view him as a player who's, you know, on a sharp rise here, and we can kind of take advantage maybe before other clubs get interested. Hasn't scored a lot of goals, that's what I would say. I think a couple of goals this season. But he's very much a left winger, kind of left winger that will cut inside, a bit like Haksabanovic, although maybe more ability to go to the line as well from what I've seen of him, which is fairly limited. But yeah, left winger, Balak Wisher is a left winger mainly, so I'm kind of questioning what's going on there again. Is Dyson getting moved to the right, which is he did play a wee bit under Ange. Is Dyson getting moved to the middle? Possibly. Is Dyson leaving us? Who knows? So yeah, I'm kind of questioning what's going on there. We're potentially bringing in two left wingers, but I really shouldn't grumble about us potentially signing players. Having said that, we're in hugely shocking news. You better sit down for this bit. We have offered around half of what Hammarby would like for Tounekti. Swedish outlet Expressen say we have bid around €3 million, with Hammarby wanting at least double that. There's also been a bit more chat about the Go Ahead Eagles player Jakob Braham. Side point, the Go Ahead Eagles are in the Europa League this year, so I think we all know how this script is going to go. Outlets in Scotland kind of reporting that this deal is now off because we haven't qualified for the Champions League. And they're running that based on an original thing from a Dutch outlet, VI, I think Voetbal International. And I found the initial source, and it's not quite as definitive as you would think. Basically, it's an article written on this Dutch website about us losing to Kairat and the ignominy of that defeat. And there's a wee throwaway line in there that says, due to the loss of Champions League funds, at least around €20 million, Jakob Braham appears set to miss out on his move to Scotland. So I don't think there's any actual news reporting going on there. I think it's just a bit of a throwaway comment. Regardless, I don't think Braham's going to be coming to us. Just a bit of chat about outgoings as well yesterday. We'll rattle through this. Football League World are reporting that Chris Davies and Birmingham City are interested in Yang. They already have Kyogo Furuhashi and Tomoki Iwata with them, so it would kind of make sense. I think earlier in the summer when Norwich were interested, it was kind of reported that Yang would potentially like to move on without wanting to speak for you. I'm not sure too many people would be absolutely distraught at the prospect of Yang leaving at the moment. The other one comes from the Daily Record, who are reporting that Hayato Inamura has been put up for loan this season. Not a real surprise at all, given that Brendan Rodgers effectively publicly said this last week, and with Marcelo Saracchi coming in on loan from Boca Juniors to play left back alongside Kieran Tierney, game time for Inamura is not really going to be there. So from that point of view, kind of makes sense, although I think Inamura's looked all right so far. From his point of view, he's probably going to go out on loan for the season and come back next year, probably to a new manager, which he probably won't be absolutely gutted about, given that Brendan Rodgers has kind of talked Inamura down a fair bit since he's signed. So he's probably happy enough with that. Just a reminder that the transfer window closes on Monday, so 4 days. And there has been a bit of confusion about exactly when it shuts. Basically, the English transfer window are trying a new thing this summer where they're closing their window at 7 p.m. rather than 11 p.m. or midnight. Which, to be honest, makes a whole lot more sense, I think. There's no reason why everyone should be staying up till 11. And it had been felt that Scotland would do the same. However, it has also been reported in recent days that the 11 p.m. deadline will be sticking in Scotland, despite the English one changing. So Celtic will have an extra 4 hours to sign players. And yeah, Monday 11 p.m. for the window. Slamming shut. Just to finish a little bit on the Europa League, well, the Champions League draw is today. We'll have to wait until tomorrow at noon for the Europa League draw. That's obviously because there's Europa League qualifying matches tonight. So yeah, we'll get a full list of the potential opponents tomorrow. I'll go through them, try and have a little bit of fun. We are going to be a pot 2 team. Doesn't actually matter at all anymore because you play 2 teams from each pot. So the pot is not really important at all. We can't face any other Scottish teams in the league phase. So no Rangers or no Aberdeen if they manage to get there. However, we could face them in the knockout rounds of the competition, which is maybe just something to keep an eye on as the league phase goes on. In terms of how the Europa League has changed since we last played in it in season 2021-22, just like the Champions League, it's now a giant league table with 36 teams. Each team plays 8 matches, 4 at home, 4 away, and the results are plumbed into the giant league table. Again, just exactly like the Champions League, you have the top 8 teams who progress to the last 16. You then have positions 9 to 24 playing off to join them, and the bottom 12 teams are out of Europe altogether. They don't drop into the Conference League. Just like with the Europa League in the knockout rounds, there's no teams dropping in from the Champions League to the Europa League. So all the teams that are in the draw tomorrow will be the teams for the entire season in the Europa League. As usual, the matches are pretty much all Thursdays. The one exception is match day 1 that's played over a Wednesday and a Thursday at the end of September. That's like an exclusive week for the Europa League, so there's no Champions League or Conference League matches that week. And other than that, it's Thursdays. We're going to have a load of domestic games moved from Saturday to Sunday, which is the kind of knock-on effect of the Europa League that's not so good. I don't actually mind the Europa League. I think it's a good competition. Kind of brutal thing to say, but how would this current Celtic team get on in the Champions League this year? Like, we would get a number of pastons, I think, and it wouldn't be very fun. And the financial aspect, the club don't even spend the money anyway. So as much as like the glitz and the glamour and the prestige of being in the Champions League is obviously what we all want, hopefully when the kind of anger dissipates slightly, at least we can kind of look forward to the Europa League, because we're going to still have some good matches, and maybe, just maybe, we can put something together and make the top 24. Certainly we're all expecting that, and maybe just finally win a knockout tie. I know I'm asking a lot here, but yeah, well, as I say, we'll do a bit of a deeper dive tomorrow. If anyone has any questions on the Europa League, please fire them below and I'll do my best to answer them in tomorrow's video. But yeah, other than that, that's us for today. Goodbye.